السارق والسارقة فاقطعوا أيديهما. The thief, male and female, cut off his hand. Is there any ambiguity in that? I mean, can you interpret it? Anybody can interpret it, a special way to interpret it? Right. It's pretty clear, right? The male, the thief, male and female, cut off their hands. Yeah? All right. Umar ibn al-Khattab, radiallahu anhu, which I call Caliph Umar the first. During his reign, there was a famine, great famine. And Umar, it's the practice of the early Khulafa to, that when they got proceeds into the treasury, and actually Umar established the treasury, but prior to that, Abu Bakr and the Prophet ﷺ, anytime there was money coming in, they would give it right out to the people. You know, so there really doesn't like a budget or sort of treasury. Umar ibn Khattab established this, but generally, if people were in need, they would pour out the wealth, and they would dispense the wealth amongst the people. So there was famine, and there really wasn't nothing to give out. And people were growing hungry, naturally. And some people were caught stealing. Now, they were caught stealing and were brought to Umar, and people would say, well, let's do it. What does the Quran say? It said, the thief, male or female, cut off his hand. But Umar said, no, we're not going to cut off their hands. Why? Because now you have a problem of a conflict between two universals. The universal of the preservation of wealth and the universal preservation of bodily integrity. And that is to say that these are listed in according to their priority, according to most scholars, where they prioritize religion first, then hifz an-nafs, bodily integrity, progeny, sanity, and wealth. Wealth is of lesser priority than the preservation of one's life, right? And so, although the preservation of the owners of that wealth is important, that in this particular case, because those other people would lose their life if they did not steal. And so, think about it. Okay, well, you stole something, chop your hand off today. A couple of days go by, still hungry, right? What you gonna do? All right? Go out and try to steal something else, right? Food. I'm gonna eat. Chop off the other hand. Tomorrow, I'm still hungry. Still hungry, right? Ain't no more hands left, right? You know, maybe chop off a foot, right? You see that the aim of the Creator is not going to be able to be realized if we apply it in this fashion. It's just not possible. We won't realize the aims and goals of the Sharia. And so in this particular case, Umar, he saw that وإن تزاحم عارض المصالح يقدم الأعلى من المصالح وضده تزاحم المفاسد يرتكب الأدنى من المفاسد, that the lesser of the two evils, is to be committed in the case of when two interests are in contradiction with one another. And so the Sharia is set up in this way. The Sharia is more, there are some bedrock teachings of the Sharia. There are certain things that we learn about Sharia which are important, the 5 prayers, zakat, the 5 pillars, right? There's certain things that we believe about Allah and about the angels and the books. There, the impermissibility of drinking wine and fornication and things like that. All these things are Sharia. They're part of our moral code, right? But then there are other things which result from interpretation. They're an extension of the Sharia, but they are not the Sharia itself, which means that even if the majority of the scholars say that this is the correct opinion, we can't say that Islam, according to Islam, this is what we should do, or this is what we're supposed to do. We can only say that the majority of the scholars of Islam say that this is the right opinion. See? It's not just simply jurisprudence. It's not just a democratic process either, because just because something's a minority opinion doesn't make it a wrong opinion or a weak opinion. You see, and so that's one thing we need to understand when we deal with matters of Sharia. And this is why I said earlier today that as Muslims we have to represent ourselves. That if you buy into a particular interpretation of Islam, then that's the interpretation that you accept. And you can't say that what I practice is Islam and what those other people practice is not, unless you're talking about something which is clear, which we know has been brought by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is one aspect, one thing that we want to be concerned about. And of course, these are things we already know in terms of like corporate matters of corporal punishment. You can go on to the next one. Now, the